All right, guys, looks like John Schneider is still hard at work, and I think he's pulled off another coup today. So, as we all know by now, of course, the Seahawks have traded for Gabe Jackson with the Las Vegas Raiders, but we were also aware of the fact that he had a pretty fat remaining contract that was all non guaranteed. So, a lot of people, myself included, were thinking that we might end up doing something to that contract to make things a little more manageable because the cap hit this year was 9.6 million and the cap hit next year was going to be 9.6 million as well. So it made sense to me that this team might be looking to change that. So it looks like they indeed have, and the last hour or so on Twitter has been a little bit of a bumpy but ultimately fruitful and satisfying ride as we try to figure out exactly what this might mean. So a little while ago, Ian Rappaport tweeted out that the Seahawks gave Gabe Jackson a 3-year, $22.575 million extension, which includes a $9 million signing bonus. Jackson gets $7.075 million in additional guarantees. So that's interesting. It doesn't necessarily tell us everything we need to know, though. Was this an extension on top of the contract he was currently on? Was this a brand new contract? Was this a 3-year contract with 2 void years, making it in total a 3-year contract, counting the contract he was currently on? We didn't know. So we waited for a little bit, trying to get some clarification on what this might mean. And a little bit after Jeremy Fowler, we got this. Seahawks reworked Gabe Jackson's remaining 2 years from his Raiders deal into a new 3-year, $22.575 million contract as part of the trade, sources tell me. He gets a $9 million signing bonus and is due $16 million total over the next 2 years. So it's a brand new 3-year deal. So the contract that he was on was $9.6 million a year. As you can clearly see, this new one is about $7.5 million a year. So just on that level, we've gotten him to take a little bit of a per year discount in exchange for an extra year of security. So that's certainly a positive thing, but we need to learn a little bit more information before we can really factor this into our 2021 plans. So now let's go to Brady Henderson, who tweeted not too long after that tweet. Jackson was set to make and count 9.6 million versus the cap in each of the final 2 years of his deal. None of that was guaranteed. It appears that his 2021 cap number will be less than half of that on his reworked deal. So, I'm sure I don't need to tell you this, but half of 9.6 million would be 4.8 million. So, they're saying that the cap hit for 2021 for Gabe Jackson is going to be somewhere around $4 to $5 million, which is a big step down from what it was, that's enough to bring in one more player if you really want to. That's enough to bring in a good established veteran. That's enough money to pay for all your injury and substitute fill-in needs over the course of a season and then some. So yeah, this makes it look like that the restructuring of Gabe's contract did a substantial improvement to our 2021 cap situation. And finally, we got this from Chris Clough on Twitter, also known as Seahawk Talk. And he has this to say. So, per Joe Fan confirmation, it is a new 3-year deal, and his 2021 cap hit will be $4 million with 75 grand on top of it. So, $4,075,000, about $5.5 million less than the original. So, wow, this just took care of a whole bunch of stuff. This just freed up a bunch of money. $5.5 million. That kind of stuff is a big deal. I made a video the other day about the Kerry Hyder contract and how he was only going to count X against the cap, and that was really good. But that was a small thing. This is a big thing. $5.5 million. That could make all the difference between having to restructure a guy like Bobby Wagner and not having to. So, with this number now being in our heads, let's jump back to the chart and take care of some house cleaning. So, first of all, we did get a small update on Kerry Hyder's contract yesterday. The cap hit for 2021 is actually going to be 2.15, not 1.95. So it's an extra 200 grand. So that cap hit is a little bigger than I thought, but 200 grand is not a particularly big deal. And we also got some clarification on Cedric Ogbuehi's contract. That's going to give him 1.8 million against the cap in 2021 with a void year for 500K in 2022. So he got the same contract he got last year, basically, just with a void year. So that's a little higher than I thought by about 300,000, but again, that's small potato. So basically, between Hyder and Ogbuehi, we have $500,000 less than I was thinking. However, that is all easily taken care of by the savings of the Gabe Jackson restructure, which I now have reflected here. $5.525 million. So right away, that alleviates a lot of the pressure we were feeling against the cap. So if you take a look at this, you factor in all these players that we signed, and then you factor in the draft pool cap, and once you get to the Gabe Jackson restructuring, you're already down to 11.4 million. The Jamal Adams extension hypothetically gets you down to 7.4, and then the Russell Wilson restructure actually gets you all the way out of the red into the black with room to spare. Just restructuring Wilson gets you down to 4.5 million in the black. And that's enough. You could go through the season with this much cap space to sign fill-ins and injury replacements and feel okay about it. So this was a big deal. And now, you can still restructure Jason Myers if you want to. I mean, why not? What's the difference really? It's just 1.2 million. And you're good. You're good to go into the season with that amount of cap space. You're good to sign one or two more small-time players, or maybe even one big-time player. And yeah. So yeah, a lot of the concern I had about what this team would have to pull off in order to get under the cap is now alleviated. And as for Gabe Jackson's new contract, the bigger cap hits are certainly going to be coming down the line, but that's something we can worry about when the cap is much bigger than it currently is. So, yeah, this change out, this contract restructuring was a W. A big, big W that's going to make things a lot easier. So, to those of you out there who are still dreaming about AB, dreaming about Austin Ryder because Blythe is now gone, or dreaming about Dunbar, or dreaming about Sherman, or maybe even KJ Wright, I'm kind of doubting that at this point. But if you're dreaming about those guys, keep dreaming, because the money now makes a whole heck of a lot more sense. So I look for this team to possibly do something like bring in Quentin Dunbar in the next couple of weeks, because we now have the room for it, and there seems to be mutual interest, and I can understand why the team might not want to go into the season having to depend so heavily on a rookie corner. So I'm intrigued to see what happens next, but the money we just saved with this Gabe Jackson restructuring, over $5.5 million, is enough to make one more splash. What's the splash going to be? I don't know, but I've thrown out many good theories. So I'm going to get out of here. Peace out. Go Hawks. See you guys in stream later. Hey, whatever you want to say about John Schneider in the past and his shortcomings and the things he's done that have been wrong, so far this offseason, it seems like he's really cooking. And if he keeps this up, we should have a very fruitful 2021 season. All right, peace out.